Hello, and welcome back to the guided study of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Act 5. In the last part of Scene 3 that we covered in the previous video, we left off with Romeo having slain Paris, broken into the Capulet monument, and drank a poison that killed him next to Juliet. We also know that Juliet is going to wake up within the next few hours once the potion wears off. We are going to continue reading where we left off in Scene 3. We left off on line 120, after Romeo had just fallen after drinking the poison. In this next section that we are going to read, we're going to see Friar Lawrence enter, and he and Balthazar are going to have a conversation. Remember that Balthazar hid in the trees against Romeo's request so that he might keep an eye on him in case anything were to happen. So pay attention to what Balthazar says to the friar and how the friar responds. I would like you to go ahead and pause me now and read to line 175. So as the friar is walking into the cemetery, he runs into Balthazar, who makes himself known, because Balthazar is extremely worried about Romeo. The friar asks on line 132 how long Romeo has been in the Capulet monument, and Balthazar responds, full half an hour. So he is saying that Romeo has been in there for at least a half an hour. The friar, of course, is very nervous about this. On line 139 he says, "Fear comes upon me, oh much I fear some ill unlucky thing." So he enters the Capulet monument and of course sees a very gruesome scene. He sees Paris lying there, bloody and dead. He also sees Romeo dead. Juliet begins to awake, and the friar begs her to come with him and leave this scene. He says on line 158, "A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents." He's saying a higher power has caused our plan to go awry and not to be fulfilled. And then he says that Romeo is dead, and he asks Juliet on line 161, "I'll dispose thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming. Come, go, good Juliet, I dare no longer stay." So he is begging her to come away with him, and he plans to put her into a convent to become a nun and to live a chaste life. Well, of course, Juliet does not want to go with him. She wants to stay with her beloved Romeo. So she tells the friar to go because the watchmen are coming, which are kind of like the police, the guards. So they are on their way. They can hear them coming outside. Juliet says, "Go, get thee hence, for I will not away." And the friar leaves her alone with Romeo and Paris's corpses. Juliet, of course, begins to assess the situation, and she sees the poison held in Romeo's hand. She tries to drink from the bottle and says on line 168, "Drunk all and left no friendly drop to help me after." So she was hoping there would be some poison left that she might follow in Romeo's footsteps as well. Resulting to the most dire action, she reaches and grabs Romeo's knife from its scabbard, holds it to her breast, and says, "I'll be brief, O happy dagger," and plunges the dagger into herself, dying with Romeo. Now in this next section, we are going to see the watch and a bunch of other people enter the scene. So pay attention to who all enters and how they are entering. I would like you to please pause me now and continue reading Scene 3 to line 233. So when the chief watch, or the chief of police, enters, he tells all of the other men, "Go and search the graveyard and bring back anybody that you find." He also tells some of his men to go and fetch the prince, the Capulets, and the Montagues to all come to this scene. Well, the watchmen begin to return with various people who we knew were at the scene. One of the watchmen returns with Balthazar, Romeo's man. Another returns with the friar. And then we see that the Capulets and the prince and the Montagues all enter the scene as well, and they are just taking in what is laying before them. On line 221, we also find out that I, Lady Montague, am dead. Lord Montague says, "Alas, my liege, my wife is dead tonight. Grief of my son's exile hath stopped her breath. I was so distraught over Romeo's banishment that I died out of my sorrow." The prince decides that he must hear everyone's story to get to the bottom of what has happened here. So he says, "Seal up the mouth of outrage for a while till we can clear these ambiguities and know their spring, their head, their true descent. Bring forth the parties of suspicion." Now in this next section, we are going to hear from both the friar and from Balthazar as to what actually happened. And remember, Romeo had given Balthazar a letter before he went into the Capulet monument. So we are, in this last section, going to find out what was in that letter. I would like you to please pause me now and read to the end of the play. So in the first 60 lines or so, the prince asks the friar to tell the story of what happened, and he does. He tells it very accurately, he tells of his part in it, and he expresses that he feels sincere guilt and part of what happened to Romeo, Juliet, and Paris. Then Balthazar hands the prince the letter that Romeo had given him to give to Lord Montague the following morning. We find out that the letter expresses exactly what the friar has just revealed. On line 297, the prince says, "This letter doth make good the friar's words, their course of love, the tidings of her death, and here he writes that he did buy a poison of a poor apothecary, and therewithal came to this vault to die, and lie with Juliet." Then he continues to reprimand Lord Montague and Lord Capulet, and he says that I am also punished for your discords. In the last few lines of the play, we see Lord Capulet and Lord Montague reconciling. They make up, and they both promise to resurrect a golden monument of the other's child, ending their ancient feud. The prince has one of the most famous lines of the play. On line 321, he says, "For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo." I hope you have enjoyed this guided reading of William Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet. Don't forget to complete your final study guide and have a very happy end to the school year, you guys. I cannot believe we made it, and I cannot believe that I dressed up as all these crazy characters. I'm going to miss you guys so much, and I'm really sorry that I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to you all in person. You were truly an amazing class of students, and I feel so honored to have gotten to know each and every one of you this year. Please make sure to stop by my classroom in the fall and say hi. I would love to see all of you again once all of this chaos is over. And I hope you guys have an amazing summer. And please join us for the Romeo and Juliet movie night tonight. Check Google Classroom for updates on what time that's going to be, because at the time I'm recording this video, I don't yet know what time we're going to have the movie night. So make sure you check. Join us for the movie night. It'll be a great way to just kind of end the year, and it'd be nice to see you all again before we are officially done. Have an awesome summer, you guys. I miss you. Bye.